Hi, I'm David Manti with Industrial Equipment News, and we made it. Part 5 of our 5-part series about quantum computing and the quantum apocalypse. With me today is Alan Grau, VP of IoT with Sectigo. Thank you very much for joining me today, Alan.
Thanks, David. Glad to be here.
Excellent. I've really appreciated our time. It's been very insightful. What I'd like to start with for our final episode is talking about hacking machines in the industrial industry. And that's definitely redundant. But not just any machine, but hacking the machines that are making other machines and why that is a potential threat in terms of posed by quantum computing.
Yeah, no, that's a threat that goes beyond just quantum computing. We've reached an age where everything that we do, or the vast majority of what we do, is controlled by or impacted by machines. If you're back when I commuted to work and didn't work from home, right? I did one day. I tried to take account of the number of different devices that I interacted with directly or indirectly between the time I got up in the morning and the time I reached my office. And if you stop and get a cup of coffee, right? You've got a point of sales terminal, the traffic lights that are controlled, the number of computers, in your car, it's in the hundreds, if not more, just by the time that I'd reached my desk and logged onto my computer in the morning. So the point is that, not everything that we do is touched by computers. And then you get into the industrial realm where those devices are being manufactured by computer controlled processes. So if you're able to hack in at that level, you've got a huge impact downstream on the supply chain. And we've seen recalls of, one of the examples we were talking about just before we got started on this recording session was the Johnson & Johnson vaccine issue, where they had a huge number of vaccines that couldn't be used. Now, I don't know specifically in that case if that was a human error, a bad chemical that was in the process, or if it was a computer glitch. But if you're able to hack those systems controlling industrial processes, it can have a huge impact downstream on the supply chain. And that's true whether they're hacked by kind of other mechanisms, or if in the future they are compromised through a quantum computing attack.
Yeah, last time I checked, it was 15 million doses that they had to cash out. But you had talked about the grid, and you also talked about the traffic lights that you use when you would commute to work. Well, we ran a story recently about, I don't know if you heard about the small town where their water supply was actually hacked, and someone was trying to dump chemicals into the water and poison the water supply. And the only reason somebody caught it was because they happened to be looking at the computer and saw the mouse moving when he wasn't moving the mouse. So we're talking about legitimate infrastructure threats.
Yeah, no, that was actually, I don't know if most people recognize that, but that town was right outside of Tampa Bay, and it was the weekend right before, like the Friday before the Super Bowl. They were trying to impact the water supply. So I don't know if that was coincidental or if somebody was actually targeting that because the Super Bowl was being held there that weekend. But there are very legitimate threats to our infrastructure that need to be addressed.
Is that and just one other quick aside, do you think that our infrastructure is particularly vulnerable?
Well, I think we've got multiple examples of where our infrastructure is vulnerable. We've certainly put a lot of effort into improving the security around our infrastructure. We've made significant strides in that, but it's far from bulletproof.
Okay. Well, and I guess I didn't realize how close that town was to Tampa. So maybe if they were trying to get at Brady before the Super Bowl, I get it.
Well,
so let's jump back into specific OEMs. What steps can device OEMs take to ensure their PKI and crypto systems are protected against these quantum computing based attacks?
Sure, and it's not a simple process where you just swap out one solution and for something else. The way PKI works, it's designed to enable secure communication across a broad set of devices. So there are several places in the infrastructure or in the process that need to be updated. And as you look at that, you need to start by, well, first you need to look at your PKI infrastructure and how that's set up and whether or not that will support quantum safe computing. So the first step is making sure you've got a PKI infrastructure, the processes and the systems that are used to issue certificates to devices, that's capable of supporting quantum safe computing. So that would really be the first step. Once that's in place, then you can start issuing quantum safe certificates and building quantum safe computing or crypto into some of the devices on your system. And typically you'd start with with the servers. If you think of an IoT type solution, you'd want to first make sure that all of the server side cloud components are capable of supporting quantum safe computing. So you have to update the encryption algorithms. If you're using whatever encryption libraries you're using, probably are going to need to be upgraded to support quantum safe computing, and then issue certificates to those.
Okay. So when should OEMs start to develop and implement a plan? I feel like the best answer was 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, maybe not 10 years ago, but probably 3 or 4 years ago, or a couple of years ago would have been would have been ideal. So the industry certainly is scrambling to address this problem. But yeah, if companies need to start planning today, if they haven't started to think about this problem, if they haven't looked at this problem, well, now's the time to get started and to start diving into this and trying to figure out how to address this problem.
Okay. And to that point, how should OEMs migrate from traditional crypto algorithms to QS crypto algorithms?
Yeah, so, well, that's, exactly kind of where I was starting with. I mean, the first piece is updating your PKI infrastructure. So if they have their own systems that are issuing certificates, they need to update those to support quantum safe algorithms. If they're using a third party provider, and that's the business that we're in at Sectigo, is implementing crypto systems and PKI systems. So making sure you've got a third party that's capable of supporting quantum safe crypto. And then then you just have to start building it out, rolling it out into your servers, updating the crypto algorithms in those, and then looking at all the devices that are on the network, and updating the crypto systems in those. So there's definitely multiple steps to the process that have to be implemented.
Okay. So we said that we would give them specific steps. So we have 6. What are the 6 steps towards migrating to quantum safe cryptography?
All right. So we'll go through it quick. The first step is making sure your PKI infrastructure can support quantum safe crypto. Okay. The second step is you have to update the crypto solutions on all the servers that you're using, kind of all the core infrastructure pieces. The third step would be looking at the individual devices. So the systems running on your factory control line, the systems that are controlling, the chemicals going into the water supply. You need to update the crypto on those. Then the fourth step is you need to actually start installing the quantum safe root certificates. So making sure all the devices have a quantum safe root. Once you've got that in place, the fifth step is in having all the individual devices have their own quantum safe certificate. Now you're almost there. You've got all the new quantum safe certificates in place, quantum safe computing in place. Then you need to deprecate all the old crypto algorithms. And the reason that step is important is if there is still an ability to use the old pre-quantum crypto algorithms, you may end up in scenarios where those are being used when they shouldn't be, even though you've got the new quantum safe pieces in place. So those are the super fast list of 6 steps.
Well, I mean, it sounds easy. We'll just knock it out in a weekend, right?
Yeah, probably, except each of those steps is probably a many month, or at least several of those steps could be months or years of work, depending upon how many different devices, how many different systems. So if you're looking at doing this for a single product line, it's probably something that would be rolled out over a couple of release cycles. Which again could be a 6-month or a year process, depending upon the release cycles and the technology used. If you're looking at this from the point of view of doing an entire, infrastructure, if you're Duke Energy or Pacific, PG&E, and you have to roll that out across all of your infrastructure, that could take a decade, because you've got equipment out there that's legacy equipment. You've got to look at the capital expenditures to upgrade that equipment. You've got to work through your entire supply chain to make sure that your suppliers, all the vendors supplying you equipment, can support the new quantum safe crypto algorithms. So it's a big effort. It's something that we'll be working on for a long time.
Right. It's a big undertaking, but I feel like the stress is that it needs to begin now.
And I think that's the critical piece, right? Is nobody's expecting everything to change overnight, but we need to get started. We need to have a plan and have a path, and really, I guess the other piece of this that we really didn't talk about is, step zero is putting together that plan, determining what assets need to be addressed more quickly. Realistically, right? Idealistically, we'd like to have everything changed out before quantum computing really advances to where it can break these crypto algorithms. Realistically, that's just not going to happen. So what are the high priority assets that we want to address first? What are assets that, if it takes a little bit longer, it's not quite as critical. So the first step would be really to put that plan together and start identifying what assets are critical and how we begin addressing this problem.
Well, Alan, thank you very much for your time. This 5-part series has been very enlightening, and I really do think that there is some good information there that could help out our readers.
Thanks, David. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm David Manti with Industrial Equipment News, and we're capping off the part 5 of 5 of our quantum computing, quantum apocalypse series. For Alan Grau, have a good day.